please take a seat. Thank you. You can sit here, yes. After this session. So, very good afternoon, good day, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the 10th International Conference on Nusantara Philosophy, the role of social epistemology and ontology for the future of humanity. My name is Rona Utami, in case you don't know me yet. I am a lecturer of this Faculty of Philosophy, Universitas Gadjah Mada, and I will be serving as your moderator today. Ladies and gentlemen, here with us, we will be listening to presentations from, first of all, from Rahmat Hidayat, PhD. He is a lecturer at the Faculty of Philosophy who will talk about dismantling gender, power, and knowledge. And we also have here Professor Dr. Lasio. He is our full professor at the Faculty of Philosophy, Universitas Gadjah Mada, and he will deliver his presentations on the contribution of Javanese epistemology to strengthening human character. And last but not least, our special keynote speaker, who just actually landed from Yangon, Myanmar, Professor Dr. Kim Kin Soo. She is a full professor, thank you, of Geography, University of Yangon, Myanmar, who will present a very interesting topic on interactive role of educations and also society. So I would also like to greet everyone here in our Zoom meeting. I have already seen our other distinguished speaker, whether they will talk tomorrow, will be moderated by Bapak Agus Wahyudi. Here I see Dr. Sheila Nair. How are you there, Ms. Sheila Nair? I hope that you guys can hear my voice very well through this room. And also like to greet Professor Dr. Jean-Christophe Merle, who was also there in Zoom. Hello, Jean-Christophe. So I hope that everyone will enjoy these first sessions out of two other sessions that we'll conduct it tomorrow. So dear speakers, ladies and gentlemen, on this very timely subject, before we get started, I wanted to take a few minutes of your time. So it is indeed a great day, a great occasion to discuss about the future of humanity. This topic that we raise for the conference of Nusantara Philosophy is actually in line with our 55 faculties anniversary with the theme on the AI and also the future of humanity. So several questions that may arise: how the future of humanity in the midst of these technological disruptions. Another discussions, another issues might be, what if humans were removed, for example, from equations? What if we fulfilled our individual needs through technologies? So I cited actually an interesting book that was just published exactly last year in 2021, entitled The Rise of Techno-Socialism, which is written by the Brad King, an Australian futurist, that for him, the technologies like AI and robotics could and would eventually lead to a different form of socialism. One where all your needs could be met by innovations. We are actually already experiencing these kinds of initial stages of what we call techno-socialism. By, for example, such as the availability of the internet and also the search engines that we use in our everyday lives, by providing like the inexpensive services that is accessible to all groups. So, ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished keynote speakers will share their ideas and thoughts on these really interesting issues. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th International Conference on Nusantara Philosophy, Social Epistemology, and Ontology for the Future of Humanity. Now, moving along to our sessions, please welcome Rahmat Hidayat, PhD. He will talk about feminist critical perspective on epistemology by focusing on gender and also power relations. I'll give you 30 minutes maximum. Dr. Rahmat, please. 30 maximum. But I'm pretty sure you will finish it earlier, right?
Thank you very much, Ms. Rona. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera for all of us. Good afternoon. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, Rahayu, and good afternoon juga. The Honorable Ibu Dekan, our beloved head of our faculty, the Honorable keynote speaker that present today, Professor Kim Kim. It is really an honor for us to have you here with us, traveling a long way from Yangon to Jogja, and hopefully you enjoy your visit. And Professor Merle, it is good to have Professor Merle again in this occasion, and then Professor Shelanair with us as well. The other anggota senat juga, selamat siang, and Professor Lasher of course, and distinguished guests and invitation. This is truly my honor to be here, to be invited as one of the speaker, and more about this more, I have the opportunity to present my humble and simple notes on feminist epistemology ahead of my senior and my teacher, Professor Lasya, and especially Professor Kim Kim as well. So allow me to give a short, brief introduction to the topic that I like to share here, dismantling gender, power, and knowledge. This is the key issue that have been around for a while within the discourse of feminist epistemology. I have written a few works on feminist epistemology in 2 books and a few articles, which some of the idea I adopt here with further current and contemporary research. So the very idea about in feminist epistemology is that knowing, about the process of knowing, including any rational activity that around with knowing, is a social endeavor, which is why it is have a social and historical character in it. And feminist theory heavily stress on the significance of social, cultural, political, and economic context on the activity of knowing, and even in any kind of rational knowing, rational activity. And gender deeply affect knowledge in the production by the knowing subject. And knowing subject, in fact, they already exist in the gendered world as a general, subject, which is why some feminists go further that the relation between gender and knowledge is such a deep that at one point, gender reproduce not only gender construction, the existing gender established give a deep influence on the production of knowledge. At the same time, the production of knowledge itself reproduce the existing or changing the gender relation. One of the point is that some feminists like Linda Alcock and Elizabeth Potter, this is the second generation of feminist epistemology that focus on the body, the experience of the body and the context, how the body experience within social context. And the point of the developed notion of knowledge presume that the subject of knowledge has no gender, and represent anyone capable of undertaking rational activity. This is the premise of our epistemic tradition, especially in the Western context, that the subject of knowledge has no sex, it is impersonal. However, some feminists, such as Lorraine Coate, along with Susan Bordeaux Lloyd and others, argues that epistemological model implicitly presume a male knower, and that is the argument that contemporary epistemological core model is embodiment of man's way of knowing and a man's way of thinking. And some feminists even go further that our ways of knowing represent man's way of relating themselves to the world. So one of the most well accepted notion of knowledge in Western epistemological tradition is it can be presented in the formula that subject know that uh, object is something. This formula presumes that knowledge is independent and readily observable to the mind, the knower, and knowledge has no reference to any subjective context. And one of strategy to get objective knowledge in our traditional modern epistemological teaching, is to diminish and to abolish any subjective attribute that we have. Our identity, our class, our ethnicity, our race, our gender, our history, our memory. So it allows the abstract rational to work abstract to gain what we call objective knowledge. The impersonality of subject of knowledge presumes that knowing subject has no sex. This will shape the widely adopted conception of objectivity, such as the objective knowledge as a view from nowhere, like view from everyone and view from everybody, which allow the argument about the universal knowledge. And by this point, any conception that implies that all others' point of view are invalid and biased. So any claim that knowledge depart from particular identity, depart from particular context is invalid on bias. The requirement subject of knowledge to be impersonal, emotionally detached, and oriented to the things rather than the person, and independent to the object sit at the corner of feminist critique on epistemology. Some feminists reveal that such features subject are streptocally attributed to men and represent masculine gender symbol. There are many studies done by feminist philosophers and feminist epistemologists to unveil the characteristic of subject of knowledge. In the history of philosophy, some feminist works to criticize some prominent philosophers like Aristotle, Plato, even Hegel, that presume the relationship between masculinity and rationality, and to put away other kind of human aspects such as emotional sensation, fear, as a hindrance, as an object that block human mind to gain true knowledge. And those aspects are normally associated to the woman's identity. And by this point, the feminists go further that the conception of objective knowledge has its exclusion, exclusion implication to those being labeled as non-rational, non-independent, and non-abstract. And it has more danger, as finished perspective, implicitly abandon the epistemic capacity and authority of women and other marginalized groups. It is a shared notion within feminist theory that objectivity has history. It is produced within certain historical context. And within that historical context, gender is fundamental dimension shaping historical context. There are two main ways which gender contribute to the structure of knowledge, as I mentioned before. First of all, the existing structure on gender, when structure I means with the composition of who have what, who have authorities involved in our society. It means the structure of institution, knowledge as institution, knowledge as a process working in the society, it is produce knowledge. And we can also, there is a cultural dimension on gender, which involves normal assumption, ideology on man, on woman. It is also shaping the way of knowledge production. Evelyn Fox Keller, for example, in his book on reflection on gender and science, divide two streams in the Western philosophy about the tendency to knowledge. He defined the generation of Platonic knower as based on love to produce knowledge. However, our modern epistemology have been deeply affected by Francis Bacon. What is it? Intention of epistemology, that it is the power to build a knowledge. So there are some analysis that Bacon put nature as the object of knowledge, but the distant as the object for penetration of the working mind and rationality. And in many our cultural metaphor, women are associated with nature in that. In other next generation of feminists, they adopt Foucauldian perspective to explore how power and knowledge knowledge shaping power and gender in there, and how power then become a part of knowledge production. And in this case, knowledge become working as a discourse where gender involved in that discourse. Also, knowledge become as an asset or modality where capacity to engage in social arena and political arena are possible. In my paper, I put two current examples from the feminist thinking about the implication of gender, power, and knowledge. First is the epistemic, what we call epistemic injustice and epistemic ignorance. So by this term, feminist epistemic injustice, then we realize that our knowledge process, our knowledge production is not necessarily produce justice or goodness or prosperity or well-known, because those implications, in fact, in feminist analysis, is working for particular group, is certain for particular. So in feminist like Sandra Harding in his book, Whose Knowledge Would Science, also asking the standpoint of modern knowledge by asking to which group our modern knowledge working for, and which group have impacted to the production of our modern knowledge. And in fact, our modern civilization have produced a wider and wider a gap between groups, the marginalized groups, especially women, and the ethnic group in many cases. So epistemic injustice in the most current case work in the one of example of epistemic injustice is what we call as testimony injustice, which some case work for the theory of, epistemic injustice take place when mainstream theory of knowledge allow dominant group to monopolize the epistemic authority for themselves. By this, it means it implies that there are epistemic community that build around the production of knowledge, where the control of standards of objective knowledge are being circulated and being controlled. And those standards at the same time disregard the epistemic capacity of subordinate group by creating stereotype that stigmatizes subordinate group as incompetent and untruthful with regard to production of knowledge. This means with any kind of knowledge. They promote cultural marker to symbolize epistemic authority based on characteristics associated with their groups, such as sense of honor, moral credibility, rationality, spiritual and political importance among the elite groups, especially the men, the higher class, especially in some cases it is the white, the European, the men, the white. So political, social, cultural structure allow the dominant group to secure access this marker, namely access to institutional knowledge such as education, center of study, and funding. So a frequent case of epistemic injustice is called testimonial injustice by Miranda Vicker. Miranda Vicker established one book, interest book in 2007, is called Epistemic Injustice. What it means by testimonial injustice is it refers to scenario when a dominant epistemic atmosphere lead in the society, it can also be called epistemic community, partly or majority disregard the credibility and of marginalized individuals or group to voice out their narrative because of the prejudice against this group or their low social standing. For example, the official denials of testimony of women and children victims of sexual abuse committed by representative of a public figure. We had this example a lot in Indonesia a long time ago. Just a couple of months ago happened the sexual violence against Santri in Jombang and also in Madura, where it took 4 years, more than 4 years for the official to handle the case, to bring out the perpetrators who have very powerful position. A frequent case is more injustice. Also, some cases happen sexual violence in a well-respected figure in the Democratic Party, right? It's like in the US also. Testimonial injustice operate in two mechanisms, namely silencing and smothering. Silencing operate when the narrator testimony being denied and disregarded, particularly on the basis of prejudice against the narrator identity. Testimony smothering occurs when a member of a group silences their own voice or keep her own story out of recognition due to fear of being misunderstood, denied, or causing harmful prejudice to their own group. This is a lot happen from women who suffer from domestic violence or sexual violence. I've been working with the women's service who provide help and support for women victim of sexual and domestic violence. And this is very most case when it is required, when normally women come to the service, what they already have severe experience of violence. Normally, they force them to bring out their experience and bring out as knowledge of the public. Again, and there is also other testimony injustice, politically and socially exclude sovereignty group from participation and production of public knowledge in general. Gitu ya. I think it is a bit skip on go forward to epistemology of ignorance. Yeah. How many time left, Rona? Okay, good. Okay, I'm sorry I have to move a bit fast to the next example of epistemology dominance, which is we call epistemic of ignorance. So ignorance is a part of way of knowing. In fact, it is occur in the based on some theoretical, social theoretical, especially Foucauldian discourse, theory of discourse, where one main important discourse working is the silencing or the mute, so not making something or some object, some affair being known. And in many cases, the ignorance is well established as part of political, as a cultural and political agenda. So epistemic injustice involves systematic ignorance that affect the social political standing of subordinate group as a subject of knowledge. Epistemic ignorance may take from deliberate in forgetting or taking no attention to certain crucial matter of the knowledge production. And it happens in many situations, especially the effect on the political agenda on the authority. The authoritative knowledge institution, for example, possess the capacity to develop knowledge meaningful to subordinate group, but chose to ignore the importance of such knowledge. The neglect of women's philosopher in the canonic historical Western philosophy is very clear example for such ignorance. Epistemic ignorance also close possibility or represents academic enterprises that uncover the prevalent injustice system and practices. And this is a part of the way of funding as well. I remember one of our colleagues always asking why every time the funding session open in the BRIN or other program, it is mostly provided for the technical and the physical science based, not for the social, even the philosophy. So there is a domination of what is epistemic in that happening. Epistemic ignorance could have further implications in weakening the capacity of subordinate group to disseminate their knowledge into other group, whereby diminishing their epistemic impact. In the most case, dominant group will avoid the production of knowledge that lead to the truth of their own injustice system and practice. This has happened as well in Australia among the Aborigine group that try to reveal the history, the memory, but the political mechanism in the Australian authority make them silence. So this is part of the strategic and managerial silence, managing silence or ignorance. There are, in fact, silence is a part of the social hierarchy, then let the social establishment sustain. Lorraine Colt have write in some book chapter on power and ignorance, and give example of in Indian colonial and racial experience, how the relationship between the ignorant from the colonial racial group and from the women's subordinate class seems like could work together to establish the social hierarchy and the gender hierarchy, to establish the mindset of ignorant, not only among the colonial, but also to the member of the marginalized group. So it seems like, according to Lorraine Colt, ignorance developed into ecology that focus on human subjects that embody and life for not knowing. So not knowing things is as a choice. So how this is related to our agenda here in our conference? If we talk about the future of humanity and we related that to the question of gender and power, and then we need to ask which humanity in this case, yeah, whose humanity and whose future. So the justice, knowledge that related to justice need to be provided in the space where even the marginalized group have a capacity and capability to aspire and represent their aspiration and will, even in defining the humanity aspect and humanity experience of their own, also to define their own future. So this is also required about the problem of representation of our development, especially in the term of technology. So what next? Yeah, because power cannot be separated from knowledge production and also gender. So the agenda should be engaging power for knowledge in terms of to produce justice and to produce liberation. Knowledge for justice, for the shared meaningful lives in the future. So it's mean that humanity is a form of space where every group in the society have equal capacity, equal space to define what humanity means and what future means. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. And thanks for the applause for Rahmat Hidayat PhD, who has just mentioned about how these male dominations or masculine dominations in the epistemic injustice and epistemic ignorance. I am pretty sure that you guys here and also in the Zoom meeting have several questions to pose to our speakers, but please hold like a few minutes because we are going to directly hear Professor Lasio, who would like to deliver his talk on the Javanese contributions to strengthening the human character. Please, Professor Lasio, we have time until 3:30.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Rona. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Philosophy, Mrs. Dr. R.R. Siti Murtiningsih and teams, also the Director of Filsafat Nusantara, Mrs. Dr. Septiana Tri Maharani, and the speakers, Professor Dr. Kin Shu from University of Yangon, Myanmar, and Dr. Rahmat Hidayat PhD from Faculty of Philosophy and our other speakers. This for tomorrow, like Mr. Professor Dr. David Ludwig, Professor Dr. Zhang Christopher Mere, and also Professor Ila Nair PhD, and also all distinguished participants in this room or who take part by daring or from their own place. Yeah. And also thank you very much for the organizer of this international conference on Nusantara philosophy. Give me a chance to speak, and maybe we can not only speak but we can discuss about the Javanese epistemology. I take the topics like the contribution of Javanese epistemology to strengthening human character. Yeah, and also we know that in this time we have so many problems in this world, like terrorism, stability, monetary crisis, environmental pollution, horizontal violence, and other crises that drain energy. Like when we have a meeting, Presidency 20 in Bali, this month, this concentrate on architecture of the medicine, also the energy, the new energy, and also about on economics. But the most important things, I think, about the human character, because in this time, in this situation, like the starter said, that this chaotic situation in life does not appear without a cause. Everything that happens in an external phenomenon or a deeper and deeper crisis, namely on epistemological crisis, that's need to find a solution. Yeah. So every human being usually have the problem. Also, when we do some research, also we can start from the problem. So I think this usually in the academics environment, we make a problem, then we try to find the solution or alternative solution to find out some solution as well about the problem. I think this good idea. Nah. Recently, understanding related to human values has experienced a transcendental reduction or erosion of its philosophical root. Humans are no longer known as unique multidimensional beings and less recognized as a complete harm. Humans in the technological system are placed in the position as a variable known as the subject of numerology. So everyone now we have our number, we have a phone number, we have ID number, we have a password with number, everything with its number. So sometimes we are a little bit confused with our number, yeah. But we have to have a good memorize for password number in the bank, in the email, and such that, and also in our classes, for example, when we use the system like NC Master, My Class, everything fit the number. Now, human likes experiences a continuous process, experience a process of becoming. To process is essential dynamics to make human better than before. Sometimes we remember my friend, which your number, but not your name. Your address which number, not the name of who stay in that house, on that house, or maybe in like for example in student residence or something. Yeah, okay. So however, you know that humans beings are always connected to each other. The existence of human values in Javanese philosophy places human in completely connected condition, especially with God, fellow human being, the natural world around both formal and non-formal and material relation. The relationship as a reflection of the Javanese man in his life in maintaining sustainability in traditional cultural institution. Javanese philosophy is interpreted as a philosophy that emphasizes the importance of the perfection of life. Humans think that reflect on themselves in order to find their integrity with God. Javanese philosophy contains philosophical knowledge to achieve perfection. So Javanese philosophy means love of perfection. In Javanese philosophy, it can be stated that humans are always in relationship with their environment, namely God and the universe, and believe in the unity. Sometimes in Japanese, we also have the concept of microcosm and macrocosm. Yeah. We should could have a relationship between human being and his environment. Humans, according to Javanese philosophy, can use their natural abilities to be cultivated in Cepta, Rasa, and Karsa. The scientist, Professor von Magnus Suseno, Frank von Magnus Suseno, who has been in Indonesia for a long time, and where he also say that he tried Javanese language in Yogyakarta, and he ride horse from place to another place, especially in Kulon Progo a long time ago. Yeah, when we go from a rural area and to the mountain in Manure, he also ride a horse. Like so, this is we emphasize on that. Yeah. Okay. Accordingly, Javanese philosophy cannot be separate from Javanese moral philosophy. And according to from Franz von Magnus Suseno, that Javanese ethical norms only apply relatively. These norms do apply, but not absolutely. No single Javanese moral norm can be strictly adhered to. No single norm can give another person the right to be involved 100%. Javanese moral philosophy contains moral virtues which are reflected in the attitude of sepi ing pamrih, rame ing gawe, namely to the willingness to let go. We know that Professor Magnus Suseno wrote some books, especially in Javanese culture, on the Javanese ethics, and also in maybe some political books. Yeah. Now, so what kind of epistemology in Javanese philosophy? The epistemological basis of Javanese philosophy can be found in the introduction, for example, in the book of Centini, introduction to the volume 1 of Serat Centini, which is to be the mother of all Javanese knowledge. In the Serat Centini 1, among other things, it discusses matters related to religion, regarding various sciences, mysticism, immunity, housing, culture, art, courage, primbon, etc. And you can find also some primbon in Yogyakarta, Atta Makna, for example. He consists so many things about the Javanese culture. In that culture, also we can find some element of philosophy, particularly in epistemology. Not only in that Centini, but also the epistemology can be found in the pupil philosophy performance, like when this faculty of philosophy do together and research about the philosophy of wayang for about 5 years ago. Yeah, and he also so the book pupil performance, when studied epistemologically, are performed media that contain of convey knowledge about all aspects of human life. Good knowledge related to political, economic, social, cultural, and legal, and also defense and security ideology contained in the pupil. The transfer of knowledge with the aim of forming human character lays on the pupil in actually knowledge related to life. Fortunately, in this time, we can know about the pupil performance most every night in Yogyakarta, in Yogyakarta, and also Faculty of Philosophy, as well in every year. Also, we perform about the pupil schedule. Now, the source of Javanese knowledge in Serat Centhini, for example, knowledge that comes from authority is knowledge that comes from a legitimate power and is owned by someone and recognized by their group. In Serat Centhini, most of the knowledge is obtained through authority, especially the authority of the Kiai or the guardian. I think the hero, the very important people, and also at the moment we can say we can find some what is called epistemology in some local wisdom, for example, in Indonesia. But this is the special for in Java. Knowledge that originated from revelation is reflected in Syekh Amongrogo discourses which originate from divine revelation, namely by the Holy Book Al-Quran. Now, the method of knowledge, well, like in epistemology, for example, the empiricism, rationalism, and revelation. The knowledge obtained based on empiricism methods, for example, Wasi Kawiswara's discourse on Mount Panagaro in Jayang Resmi about Astabrata, the character of a god, which is written in Ramayana, and also to become of the leaderships in Javanese culture. Knowledge obtained through rationalism methods, for example, Wasi Kastiswara advised on Mount Panagaran or Jayang Resmi, Syekh Amongrogo as well, about living in community so that others will like him, namely pleasing other people, tolerant, courteous, loving others. The knowledge obtained based on the revelation methods, for example, Syekh Amongrogo gave advice to Jayang Westi and Jayang Rogo in worshipping Hyang Widi. One must firmly adhere to the main proposition Sharia, Tarekat, Nature, and Ma'rifat. And also we know that in Indonesia, in Java, for example, the culture this come from the Hindus, Buddhas, and then Muslim or Islam, and also from the Christianity. So mix each other, and usually we know about the syncretism in Javanese culture and philosophy as well. Also, the Cipta Pawiro described a method for acquiring knowledge in Javanese philosophy, which stated or Cipta Rasa Karsa. And also, Mr. Notonagoro also used the ability of soul have the three power like the Cipta, Rasa, and Karsa. Through the level of that one awareness to five sense of or I, ego consciousness, awareness to oneness in Cipta, Rasa, intention, personal awareness, one person, self-consciousness, and divine consciousness unite me, personality, to sebuah kaukas. At the latest level, subject-object union occurs to that absolute knowledge or kawicaksanan kawul sangkan paraning mati is obtained achieving perfection. The three Cipta, Rasa, and Karsa abilities is life shown to unite the manifested in the words and works, speech, and deed. Now, how about the Javanese philosophy in view of life or in the way of life of the Javanese people? Javanese epistemology, in the view of life of Javanese people, seek knowledge that has wisdom for the practice of life, to understand himself, to obtain information about the truth about life and death, about how to seek and how to find of God. Yeah. Nah, and then how to the epistemology in Javanese to strengthening human character. In Javanese epistemology, there is a way to acquire knowledge, namely through the state of Cipta Rasa Karsa, starting from awareness through the five senses of the level of divine consciousness. The three states of Cipta Rasa Karsa are interrelated so that they are reflected through words, utterance that are in accordance with Javanese philosophical values. I think the last day, in an effort to strengthen human character, one can learn and understand the meaning of life. Javanese epistemology teaches human in effort to seek knowledge behind which there are benefits for life practice. Human life experience can provide information about life and death, about how to seek and find God. The knowledge taught in Javanese epistemology can be basis of the effort strengthen to human character. In Javanese, in Indonesian language, say sometimes how to be human. Bagaimana menjadi orang. Kita sudah jadi wong itu seperti apa. I think that's enough from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Lasio. I was actually intrigued with what you have mentioned through your slides. There is, in Javanese philosophy, you mentioned that it can be stated that humans are always in a relationship with their environment. So concerning our theme today, our topics for the conference about the future of humanity, maybe we are going to discuss more about how actually you predict or how you have to speculate, like how these traditions, how these relationships in Javanese traditions, on how the relationship between human and the environment may be changed into what we call it, how our relationship, not only with the environment, but with the technology itself. So maybe there is some changing or the social change or some challenge that influence this Javanese philosophy. So thank you very much once again, Professor Lasio. Please give applause. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to greet once again the participants from the Zoom meeting. If you have any questions, I just knew that the participants from the Zoom are all muted. Maybe if you have any questions, you can directly go ask directly. Maybe the committee here will unmute your mic. And also you can write the questions through the chat bar. And so I can read it for you. But before the questions and answers, I know that several of you have really interested in these discussions. I would like to welcome our last speakers today, Professor Dr. Kin Su from the University of Yangon, Myanmar, that will deliver her talk on interactive educations and also society. Please, the time is yours.
Respected Deans of Faculty of Philosophy, speaker, keynote speaker, Respect Hadarat, the speaker, Professor Dr. Lesira, all of teachers, colleges, and all of participants. Good afternoon. Salam alaikum. Yeah. Why I would like to choose this topic to talk about? As we know, we would like to improve our environment, our society. We need the importance of education and how education and society That's how important our education. That's I would like to know and I would like to share. That's why I choose this topic. Then I would like to present my topic. So, education and society relation. Both are interrelation and interdependence. Interdependent because both neutrally influence each other. For example, complementary. Education helps individuals to learn how to behave, how to organize, how to live of this. Everything is in their life. So that education is an agent. For example, as we know, in this conference, we would like to do the conference, we would like to do world conference. The organizer is a very important thing. As for example, I am from the Myanmar. I come from Myanmar. Myanmar and Indonesia are very so far away. But the organizer or education levels of organizers are very important things. They haven't educated. They cannot well organize. That's why education is a very important in each and other sectors. That's why the conference is a very good and very comfortable and very completely conference. That's why education is to learn everybody how to organize, how to learn how to behave. So that's why we can say education is a social agent, social change agent, we can say. So next, please. Education is becoming one of the most important factors to passing success in today's society. Because of, as we know, yesterday I saw in this university campus, the education day, most of the students are very happy because of that day for their successful day, because of their half of their life, the successful, because they want to do everything, they want to do every setup they can. They all were graduated. Then they can contribute each and other sector, for example, or maybe lecture or maybe industry or maybe any other sector, they can contribute. Later, consequently, if they contributed each and other sector in our society and our every sectors have a lot of contributor, educated person, then consequently, our society may be improved because of this educated person. That's why education is a very important for each and other sector. Whether a person is living in poverty or among the wealthiest in the world, education is necessary to addressing any situation. So next, please. The importance of education. The importance of education is a society in the first step to create opportunity for acquiring knowledge and skills and competency that are literally changing the world. Their evaluation, education gives everyone a chance to acquire new knowledge and learn soft skills that have them improve their life. Current situation in our country, using not only our country, but also your Indonesia, of the whole world, we are using the Bloom taxonomy. Skill, knowledge, competency, all of the criteria. We using based on these criteria. Because of the teacher, if they want to give to the student, to their student, we should give them very level, different level. If we want to give the first year or second year level, we should give them remembering and understanding level. Because of at the beginning, most of the students should not know where they are specific free because of they are beginner. At that time, teachers should give them remembering and understanding level. They know, they are recognizing and recalling level. Then we should give them understanding level. After that, these students becoming to third year or second, fourth year, teachers give them apply or analysis level. because of this level, the student may be becoming a little bit know their respected field. That's why they can apply. How to apply their respective field, how to create, how to apply their concept and their activities and their fields, are how to apply. They will know. Also, they can analyze. After that, these students becoming to the master level, they should teachers given to them creation or the evaluation. At that time, the students can create, can evaluate not only their paper, but also other participants' paper. They can create, evaluate as a reviewer. So most of the people coming from here, we are also becoming on the higher level thinking scale. This is based on our education level. So education also helps children to appropriate themselves, their ambitions and knowledge from an early age, and to understand that they have been given a once in a lifetime opportunities. So, influence of society on education. According to this sector, we have 6 influencing factors: social or education, influencing so political condition, influencing of economic condition, influencing of religion, social thought, and the social changes. These 6 factors depend on our society. Please next. So influence of social or education. If social well structured and have an idea, good idea, that it automatically affects the education. Social structure is generally built in a religion, the way of lifestyle. Philosophy or member of social, political, economy, and it has some good idea, which have every individual and every individual contribute in society after all. For example, educationalists, experts, psychologists, philosophers, all of them coming from society. As you know, in this photo, these scholars coming from our society. Previous time, they also liked that our society, but later they were educated person. They are very famous president. The first one is a famous president in Republic of Indonesia. Second one is a 7th best president in Indonesia. So these scholars also came from our society. So influence of political education. Society influence social condition. The one who is a political leader coming from the society, and he or she always follow the set idea, including democracy, equality, and him or her some political ideas such as they can handle accountability, responsibility, unity, or the integration of human being with value idea, etc. They can run any other sectors, particularly on the political sectors. Influence of economic condition. As a know, according to per capita income, all citizens are categorized upper level, lower level, middle level scale, middle level class, and are by their income. They set education from granted or non-granted school, and their citizens in the society as per their per capita income. So their education is very important for their per capita income. If they want to get higher level per capita income, we will do more education sector. Next, please. Influence of religion education. As we find many religion sects in society, and they have their own institution, where in each religious sect strongly inform the students to follow the rules and regulation ideas of particular sects. Next, please. Influence of social thought. every individual has their own idea and own thought and belief. And those thoughts, belief and ideologies are every changes and covered by culture and society. All of people in our society, way of thinking are very differently because of their background of their education. So higher level, some people graduated by the higher level thinking scale, they have a very higher thinking level. So they can handle, they can struggle for their society. So everyone has own philosophy and everyone has own ideology. Influence of social changes. As we know, change provides everywhere, or everyone in everything the same as. The society is changing day by day. Because of previous time, if we went to do the conference or seminars or any others meeting, we done the in person. Later, we have improved the technology. Now we can do due to the pandemic, COVID-19 or any other improve our technology, we can do virtually or Zoom. Like today, some people from the joined it via Zoom. So this based on the technology improvement. Today in Indian society, where and find English modern school everywhere, and the impact of technology in our life. Particularly as we see the figure to show a location, the GPS and geographic information systems or remote sensing. All of these technology derived from the India. For example, most of our Myanmar technologies coming from India. We learn from there. These are based on the technology improvement. This is one of the education sector. So, influence of education on society. Education plays a very important role in molding the characteristic of the individual. It is one of the concrete sources from which one get information and knowledge and affect the society. So we can categorize and other factors. Please. The first one is preservation and transmission of our social, moral, and cultural value. Second one is awakening of social feelings, political development of society, economic development of society, social control, social changes and reforms. So I would like to share each and everything. Preservation and transmission of our social, moral, and cultural values. In education, through curriculum, students will be acquainted with social, moral, and cultural value, and teachers make them familiar with values and ideas that different activities gain, story, telling, etc. As we find 1916, 1986, to produce a productive citizen has been fulfilled by education. Education preserves our value, and it's made other ambitious, other imbibe those values. For example, current situation, not only in your Indonesia, but also in our Myanmar and others, the whole world, most of the country, where teenagers were influenced Korean culture. For example, food and music and dancing and any others Korean style were influenced on all of the teenagers. But they haven't the education. They were completely influenced by the Korean culture. Now, all of each and every country have teenager has a little bit has a educated person. They are educated, then they can consider, so they can preserve by their education. So not the completely influence on their culture by the Korean culture. So this is one important factor. Awakening of social feelings. Though education on individual becomes aware about the importance of unity, fraternity, and other values. For example, young student contributes in all of the activities. For example, student union, the student very willing to contribute to their activities. Education makes all people get awareness of being a part of society and how they can contribute the world as society. Political development of society. Education makes all aware about rights and duties of all, which are their responsibilities and duties. To that, they can develop their several things. Though different lessons, political teachers, political leaders, and stories, education develop ideas, leadership quality, so that in future citizens can lead the state as a society. Economic development of society. Education develops skills in individual and make him a productive citizen. The educated everyone learn how to earn money and as per their qualification. He gets job or labor, and on the whole, with their health education, more or less everywhere get work and earn money. So due to increasing literacy per capita income, we increase as we find government take help in the forms of tax, and thus our economic develop. This all depends on the education. Social control. Education makes all aware about custom and duties, the same as it makes aware about the rules and regulations. People know how to preserve their lives via education. As I already mentioned that, in nature, they can preserve their culture, values of culture. Although they like a Korean movie or Korean style or Korean food, but they know how to preserve their culture value. So they are preserving their cultural value by their education. Social changes and reforms. Education makes individuals perfect and aware about the right. So can claim against their superstition beliefs, which are harmful for them. They become aware about the provides, nothing venture, nothing gain. So they develop their risk-taking attitude via education. Socialization of a child. Education trains the mind of a child and it teaches him how to inculcate values in his life. So now I would like to say, I say completely the importance of the education. So we would like to improve our society, how to learn our education. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanations. I think we all agree that that important is the education is really important for our lives now and then. So thank you very much for all distinguished speakers that have already presented their speech or their talk. Now let's begin to the discussions, to the answers and questions. And maybe is there anyone who would like to ask? You also can say that in Bahasa Indonesia, and I will translate it into our speaker. If yes, please, Bu Ifa.
Good afternoon, speakers. Okay, thank you. I think we know that Japanese philosophy, not only Japanese philosophy, but Indonesia philosophy is prioritizes social relationship or social life, like gotong royong or something like that. But today's technological development make everyone and the world is changed. So we can be the individual beings in the world. I just want to say, I just want to ask, how do you think about these issues, and what should philosophy or culture do to deal with this phenomena or with this problem? Is philosophy and culture have to change so that they are not left behind for technology, or what should we do? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I think we're gonna answer it first. So if I may repeat it once again, that Bu Iva would like to ask about how, or the positions on in our, for example, philosophy and and culture in the midst of this the development of these technological things. That's the first questions, or would you prefer? Do you prefer to answer it directly, or I think before we forget, we gonna answer it first. Please, Prof. Lasio, maybe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iva. I think that's a good question. That because of the development science and technology, actually some principle in philosophy like gotong royong, working together, it will be also changed, I think. Yes, when for the long time ago, gotong royong mean working together, then sometimes we just only for our power, but now the gotong royong actual it would be changed. For example, we can also use the technology, and also we have to a new culture on it, like because the change of the society as well. I think, but the values of gotong royong is still in use, and also should be developed every day, because like in the presidency G20 is the working together. We get way out together. That's like I think that is the new definition or the meaning implementation in our society as well. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do you like to add, or Professor Kind?
Thank you very much for your question. Now, also, I would like to answer the essay. So, if we want to improve our society, we should do we should strongly engage in all of etc. Particularly, we should improve our technology. If currently, until we not yet improve our technology, but we can learn a lot of or internet or something like that, any other settings, and now we have a chance, many learning settings. That's why we can do this. So the other collaboration with the different settings, we can collaborate. Then we should improve our society, our technology. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So last answers, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Bu Iva. It's quite tricky and challenging situation, I guess, because if we think simply that use technology and science as a method, as a means to develop our culture, it becomes simple, just how we use technology, say social media or any information technology, to engage in the communication in any type of work together. If we talk about gotong royong, and can also the possibility to expand what gotong royong means and inform, because traditionally it means people meet together physically and work, say something like in the common public issue. But with media, it can be developed the meaning and the practice as well. However, we all realize that if we talk about technology, social media, especially the internet, it brings its own character, that it make the society in the cultures get opens to the other values, ideology, schemes, and other reality outside the culture itself, including value and practice who are those not being anticipated before. Say like previously, we don't have like hate speech or hoax swirling around our world, but today we got nearly everyday hoaxes and hate speech came across to our media platform, and that become the part of day-to-day experience in our society. And the question is how our value respond to that. So far, we haven't give what is adequate response to that, because it brings its own culture. When so far what we call like local wisdom is not being prepared, is not being interpreted to work outside its area on the virtual world. So it becomes the challenge. So how to embrace the traditional value in the virtual world while still engaging in the development, not only the technology, but also the dialogue and communication across the culture around the globe. This is something, these consequences, I think. We cannot avoid that if we talk about our local culture. But when we use social media, the situation is there, the interaction, the openness, and all things together. It's not Indonesian specific case, it's happening everywhere. Yeah, even the some of well-established countries like Germany and US, when some radicals group use Facebook to spread their terrorist agenda, they have no answer for that. And some use, what is it? Then accuse the provider to let the hate speech, the radical propaganda get along in their space. But there is no adequate value and culture in this that response. Yeah, so I think this is quite challenging. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope the answer already suits you, Bu Iva. So I'd like to see the questions. I see several questions through Zoom. There are already 4 questions, 2 questions from the chat bar and 2 questions from Jean-Christophe Merle and also Rio Akbar Pramanta. I would like to ask the committee to unmute first for the Jean-Christophe Merle questions, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank all 3 for the very
can you please, sorry, please show us the other pictures. Okay, so now we can see you. Please. Okay,
thank you. Thank you very much for the 3 interesting talks, especially from Professor Lazio. I have a question or 2 questions on his talk. They are related to the levels of knowledge, to the file and the level of knowledge. And since I am not accustomed to Indonesian on Japanese philosophy, that's really, I'm very curious to know that, and I'm relating to that from the European tradition. There's a level, there's a third level of personal awareness that succeeds to a second level of awareness of oneness. And I wonder whether you mean one or whether you mean own. My impression is that it is about our particular individual properties that distinguish us from other persons. Because if it's about being one, then I don't understand the difference between the second and the third level. In the third level, it is about self-consciousness being one, having a unity of consciousness. So that's my first question, whether it is the second level is about being aware of my individuality, which would be a lower level than being aware of the unity of my consciousness. And the second question is about the relationship between the levels on the hierarchy I interpret from the European tradition the third level, self-consciousness, as providing the unity of what the first level provides me through the five senses. It provides me a diversity of perceptions. And traditionally, in European philosophy, in order to have this diversity of perceptions, you need to have a unity of a perception with an A at the beginning. That's self-consciousness that provides the unity of your conscious experience. Am I correct interpreting the hierarchy of the levels that you presented in this way, or am I wrong? Am I thinking in a European way? And so please explain me what is the difference between the Javanese and the or the Indonesian and the European way. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I think Professor Jean-Christophe would like to ask about the first was about the oneness. I think you, please, the committee, could you please share again the slides of Professor Lacio, specifically talk about the levels of those knowledge and the relationships as well. It is about the oneness that I also saw through the slides. So, Professor Lacio, would you like to answer, please?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. That is a very good question for me, and I also that this is come from Mr. Cipto Pawiro, that he said there is so many levels in Javanese philosophy, and that actually the awareness of the five sense, you know, that the awareness, the oneness in the Cipta, Rasa, and intention. And the third, the personal awareness unto except Jati. So, and for the divine consciousness and unite the personality suksma focus. Yeah, I think that is the method acquiring the knowledge that for the 2 and the 3 level. Actually, we went after we were aware from the knowledge. Then we also aware to oneness between the cipta, rasa, and intention. And the third level, the personal awareness, like in the sukma sejati, and the one person, self-consciousness. So the third level, we self-consciousness, and the last level or the highest level is how to be unite me personally with the sukmo kawakas. It's like that. Yeah. So at the latest level, subject union calls or absolute knowledge of kawicaksanan kawrus sangkan paraning dumadi. Yeah. Where we sangkan paraning and dumadi with where we come from and when we can go. That is and actually in Javanese culture, we also have the Mandungaling Kawulo and Gusti, the oneness between lay people and with the God Almighty. I think it's like that. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to add more, Jean-Christophe, or I think the second answer or the second question was about the hierarchy of the self-consciousness. Yeah, the second question. Yes, please.
The hierarchy of the knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. So in Javanese epistemology, I think that is step by step when we usually we know about the reality, for example. We can receive the reality from our perception. Then the lastly, and that we is consciousness with the reality as well. Then after that, the lastly, we can know about the reality through in the oneness between a human being and the creator, I think like that. So this is in my opinion. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so I think we can do this in the other occasions to further discuss about these issues. Okay, so thank you very much, Jean-Christophe, for the questions. I would like to read one questions in this chat bar. So the questions from Kusuma Kartika Hima, would you like to directly ask to the speakers, or would you like me to read your questions? Kusuma, could you please directly talk to us, please? Are you there? Okay, so I think I'm going to read the questions. So, good afternoon. I am Kusuma Sari. She is from UIN Raden Fatah Palembang. She is very interested on societies, especially the philosophy of life. But she asked, since value and belief is changeable based on the culture, technology, and also other influence, should this philosophy keep through the era, or it can be changeable as well? So we can study about societies, philosophy based on its era. So I think the questions would be about how we have to behave with, or how to see this changing in our cultural life through the perspective of these philosophical studies. Or do you want to answer it first, Mas Rahmat, please?
Thank you for the question. It's a quite general question. I think it is any possibility of change. There is always possibility to change, that we can survive and we can develop our existence on our part of culture and our society because of our capacity to develop, to adapt, to integrate what's coming new, what's coming change, and it means that it also require new interpretation, a new understanding about not only about our experience but also our life, our identity, and our world itself. Whether can philosophy change in responding to the growth and the development of technology and knowledge? Of course it can, because that's the part of the role of philosophy, to give critical standpoint, to give a great guidance, to make become the what Socrates means, this the apa namanya, the lalat pengganggu, how to say it in English, something that being a critical point of view. And in our even in our era today, it is at this point where people are deeply engaged in the euphoria of technology, euphoria of democracy, much before the anarchy, which allowed by the social media, which go beyond our physical normative law and order. There are kind of euphoria for this kind of anarchy, and philosophy has not given respond properly on that. In this, that's the challenge: how social life occur in the new experience in the internet, in the virtual world, and also how what we previously presumed to be will be extinct, such as the rise of identity, the hatred between ethnicity, but in fact technology gives them a way to reborn again in the quite scary and extreme position. Yeah, this is very alarming for us, and this is the role of philosophy to comprehend that's understanding, that's reality in a way that suit with our change into the life, I think. And we need new way of looking at ourselves, our society, and we need a new epistemology in that way, a new social epistemology. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. So before I go back to these questions from Zoom, I see Bapak Agus Wahyudi here. He has questions. Please, do you have questions, right? Before I go back to the Zoom, please.
Well, thank you so much for the very interesting presentation. To be honest, I have had hard times to try to understand the connection of the three topics that you guys have presented. So one of the concerns that I have is that when we are trying to describe or let's say to delineate the conception of our what's ontology is, the reality of that we are dealing with, but also in connection with the social epistemology, which I think it's a very technical concept, but I was wondering if you guys can explain this technical term. But in my question basically is when we are if we agree that science should be dedicated to social transformation to make our life better, how these three topics maybe can be connected to the idea of transformation in terms of understanding of our current social reality. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think the questions for the three speakers, how to actually connect each topics, for example, from Professor Lasio about the Javanese epistemology and about the gender and power, and also the role of educations in our societies itself. So please, Professor Kim.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your question. I'm really happy to your answer. I'm sorry the themes, or I consider which topics I will give them. So I think now we already know that our three topics are very relationship each and other. So because of currently all of our societies are very depends on the philosopher and very depends on the education sector. If we haven't the perfect education, we cannot stay higher level. So we cannot handle all of our young generation. That's why how they can learn or how they behave. So we should give them our knowledge. We should share our knowledge. That's why we already. I think our three topics are already linkage each and other. So if we agree for these three topics, and all of them understand for these topics, they will also our society will be improved later and later. So these are very consequently. So this is our relationship of our three topics.
Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Akswahyuti. I think we start with the social epistemology, and also that three topics here, like Mr. Rahmat Hidayat is mentioned on power and knowledge and gender, and also Professor Dr. Chin Shu about education, the role of education in the society. Now, both of them actually we can find in the society, in the culture, and then we can take some more values and also the methodology, how that idea of education, how to the power and also the culture itself to be combined in one and each other in contributing to build the human character. I think it's like that, that everything will be back to human character as well. So why we at the moment we should concern how have the every human have their own character, but we also respect each other and working together in upholding the culture, and also we can find out the goal of life to make life happy, security, and also prosperity. We cannot, at the moment, some mention, for example, the war between Russia and Ukraine. I think so many negative impacts for our society in the world. So we have to working together. That like Mr. Ifa mentioned about the gotong royong. Okay, thank you like that.
My fortunately, yeah, but could just give us a puzzle to solve. Okay, I think if we look at into the point, the perspective on a relationship and knowledge and where gender exists in there, is again, it's all back. Well, one way we can talk, it is a talk about society, and the other way, if we talk about individuals in the society, whether we talk about values, how to build a characters in the future, whether we talk about the roles of education, and whether we talk about power relations and a gender relation, and we can apply that in some of society in the context where people live together or individual level as well. So I think if you look at from the power relations, it means how to build a society in terms of society where that allow the expected or the how to say, the expected character, supporting character to build up, and to find out how really education play that role, I think, yes, or the concept of religion in there, in societal level. And we can presume that this societal level cannot be exist by itself without the individual, particular individual character who suit with the establishment of society. If you look at the role from feminist perspective, it means that individual who aware of difference, individual who live, share difference, including respecting gender equality and non-violence value, communication, and respect each other and share the life and share the prosperity. So it will build a justice, and also I think open up a big critical bit our own ignorance, yeah, the things that we don't want to know things, something like that. Okay, I think that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll go back to the Zoom. Mas Rio Akbar Pramanta, please unmute his mic for the committee. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Should I introduce myself a bit?
Sorry?
Yeah, should I reintroduce myself a bit? Or...
Of course. Yes, of course.
So yeah, again, my name is Rio. I am actually a postgraduate student of international relations at Universitas Gadjah Mada, and I have one question to each speakers actually. So to Pak Rahmat, does this epistemic injustice that you have explained actually rendering the female and other gender losing their agency? Or do they actually still retain or might able to retain their agency, albeit maybe manipulated or restricted or etc.? Because I think even for when someone or a certain group might be able to obtain a certain degree of knowledge, or even taking a role, enrolling in schools or something like that, they still be lacking the agencies that is needed to utilize it. And as far as I know, even in an unelastic power relation, yang alot gitu ya, some degree of agency can be retained. But yeah, I want to hear your opinion on that. Second, to Professor Lasio, again, as a scholar of international relations, I cannot help but to see some patterns of Japanese ethics and moralism in our President Joko Widodo's foreign policies and diplomacy strategies. So, of course, in my field, it is more common to analyze them using Western perspectives, in which we tend to see that these strategies is good for an individual actor, for an individual like President Joko Widodo or our Foreign Minister Bu Retno, but sometimes we don't see, or we are unsure if these methods can be applied for an entire country or even in a government. Do you think that from your perspective, that Japanese philosophical methods can be developed and used in a contemporary or even global context for this matter? Because a little bit of a reminiscent of our slogan that locally rooted and globally respected. Yeah. And last but not least, to Professor Su, I agree that education might be a fuel or propulsion for social change of movement, but I'm leaning to this Marxian perspective where the agents of change is the mass, the people. But nevertheless, I think you and I will agree that we have a problem of disparity or gap between people like us, academics, scholars, and between the common everyday people. There is this gap, barrier, or let me use the infamous term, the ivory tower, that prevents education to be widespreadly accessed. In your opinion, how to reduce this gap, if not to close it once and for all? That's all my questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the first question would be answered by Mas Rahmat. I think, yeah, yes, please.
Yes, thank you for the question. This very much spot on about the epistemic injustice. Yes, I think the problem can be structural and cultural. Before I forgot, you mentioned about the term agency. The idea and the concept of agency itself in many in social theory of feminist society, it doesn't actually fit with the construction of identity of woman. It is come out from the I think some first generation sociologists and anthropologists, and they require independence, capacity to take decision, capacity to be rational, capacity to make account about what they activity they can do, and make consideration about themselves. And this category by itself is a masculine category. So we need to be careful in this point because, like I say, the gender assumption, this gender metaphor include in the way we make a concept, epistemic concept or a scientific concept. Well, it can be two ways, yeah. If we use liberal perspective, then the answer that is we need to make a woman, a female individual, to be empowered by giving them more knowledge, more education, more training, etc. And that's already take place all the time. And the fact that it doesn't change the relationship, so this doesn't change the reality. Yeah, in many cases of sexual violence, for example, happen to the women who have powerful position. I have a case where the victim are the one who have pangkat di militer TNI, and her husband was working as a pedagang gitu ya, as a businessman, and physically the woman who been well trained as a soldier, as militant, but it's happened the violence against her, and only being reported after several cases take place to them. We cannot take that as an agency. This is about mentality. This is about the way our culture. Because once you report that happened, normally people will say, okay, this is a business of your own. The violence is your private own, so you can solve your own problem. This is the way our society working. And this part created injustice. To produce mental atmosphere, cultural mental atmosphere that did not allow even strong women to speak out about the reality that he can encounter. It has happened, yeah. And some case against celebrity, perhaps, yeah, the one who have being vulnerable for media, for example, that's happened also. So agency is not, it's not only the answer, but there are structural and cultural situation that making this injustice happening in our society. So the problem is not the agency alone, but our mentality, our way to think, like things happen in the household and other things. This is, we don't have what is the value, shared value or culture to allow that to speak out. Even not only in Indonesia, even in a society that we consider as a more mature and more developed in terms of democracy and in terms of the apa namanya, maturity, yeah. So it's more complex than that. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
Okay, we go to the second questions. It is about, do you think that Javanese philosophy can be developed in this contemporary era?
Yes, the Javanese philosophy, according to me, can be developed together with the culture itself. But how to develop the Javanese philosophy is depend on the scholar, on philosopher, and also the philosopher itself. I have a long time ago also proposed we not only educate the people to be a scholar in philosophy, but how we develop philosopher itself, philosopher as a professional. Now, this is not, we have an education like that, because like in the psychology, we have the psychologist, and economic, we have accountant or pharmacy or something like that. Yeah.
You mean philosopher become something like a profession?
Yeah, that's my opinion. A long time, the people gave, oh, he is a philosopher, he is a kiai, he is a ustad, but as education, he doesn't have the formal how to practice the methods of philosophy, method filsafat, stuff in practice. We just only about the study about the methodology in philosophy. Yeah, it is my opinion. So hopefully in the future we have professional in philosophy as profession. Yeah, this is, I think this is my idea. Okay.
Okay. So the last question for Professor Kin. It is about how to reduce the education gap in the society.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. In our society has our education gap. This is our, I think, in our country, some of the teenager, particularly in our country as an elongated shape, lower part of Myanmar, all of the regions are doing the traditional culture, for example, agriculture. We are an agricultural country, agriculture. That's why that young generation do not want to do this traditional culture. That's why they go back to, they go abroad, any other country. That's why they not finish completely their education. They go abroad to their job opportunity. They migrate to other countries for the job opportunity. That is our gap of the education of example of our country. So if this are a problem, how we can change, how we can struggle for this, particularly we the respected people, respected regional government or authority member should give them the solution for this problem. If they are location or if they are native town, they can give stakeholder needs for job opportunity. If they give the student interest to learn their education, so we can solve this problem. Otherwise, the student do not want to learn their education. They want to do earlier there. They want to come into the job or work because they want to keep any money. So this is their priority. These are very, very important issue for the education gap. So if we want to solve this problem, the authority member solve this problem, we should give them stakeholder needs, how they want to do, or what we can give them. So we should know about our environment and our teenager, their ideas and their needs. So this is our solution for our education gap. This is my opinion.
Okay, so thank you very much for the answers. I would like to read questions in the meeting chat. So it is from Mas Guru de Tampu Bolon. So it is not Mas then. Recently, in my daily life, I have noticed a tendency for young people to be more interested in professions that do not require a long formal educations. What do you think about this phenomenon? By not going through university education, these young people become less human or less educated. So, okay, so thank you for Professor Lasio and Professor Su. So, whether I have a feeling that these questions also should be based on the surveys about whether these young generations really do not take much interest in long formal educations. But I think this social phenomenon could be also answered about thus this phenomenon can be called or can be recognized as less human or less educated if people or young generations just want to put their long formal educations away in their life. And do you think that this can be recognized or can be called as what we call it a less human or less educated? Please, Professor Lasio.
Yes, thank you very much for this question. It's quite is an interesting question. Actually, for human being, however, when he was born, there is no any choice. We were born in Indonesia, the other born in Myanmar or something like that. We can also choose our parents, and also sometimes there's very limited choice in that. But after the human being is life, they have the goal of life. There is the idea what we will to be like that. But in her life also they need some help for another people, for the society, for the nation, or also for the state. Now, for the very close, when the people want to give some food or give a house and something like that, we need the work. Now, this is the first one. The basic needs should be achieved by working very hard at the moment. Then after that, they also when we study, for example, in the moment, we can have some knowledge and some science not only from the higher education, for example, but we can get from everywhere. This is why maybe the young people most interested in working, directly working, then they have to give in scientific knowledge, like go to the program, for PhD program. Later, the program is easier. And also there is so many choice when we go to study. Like we can by the Open University, we can go by daring or online, for example, like that. Yeah. So there is maybe change in the future. And also the government itself also makes the polytechnic at the moment, maybe in one province, another province, so polytechnic in agriculture, polytechnic in medical, and also so many politics. That is why the young generation is more makes easier, or we choose the practical problem. Also in the university as well, after the children graduate from the first degree, for example, they not go to the postgrad, but they go to magister terapan, for example, and also the professional. So why I always propose how to make the philosopher as profession. This is why, so like that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer, Prof. Lasio. I would like to give a chance for the questions in this room. Anyone would like to give some questions, maybe? Yes, please. We actually have like around 20 minutes left, but we still have plenty of times, I think. Please.
Thank you. Introduce myself, Yusuf Nicholas Anamova, student from philosophy.
Sorry, could you please mention your name again?
I'm sorry. My name is Yusuf Nicholas Anamova.
Okay.
Student from philosophy, Gajah Mada. I'm trying to think one question for three speakers. Yesterday news, female in Jember, East Java, trying to suicide, attempt to suicide. She admitted that she was burdened with college assignment. There is also news about hundreds of students in Bogor, mostly women, being snared or entangling themselves in online loans. Can we ask for a responsibility from education system about the news? I think of these things as the reproduction of values in our education that are related to our social systems. So I just want to respond from the case from three of speakers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any comments for this? I think it's kinds of a social phenomenon. Prof. Kin. Okay, so Prof. Las or okay, Mas Rahmat first.
Thank you. That's very interesting reality check about the situation of our education today. And with that, we realize that actually education is a complex reality. We not only see this as a way of good thing, because it's very much depend on the concept, the practice, the culture, the situation, and also political will of the government as well. And to hear that our education practice and institution creating problem, I think there is we hear that a lot ya sebenarnya primarily during before or after Reformation era, where students have been demand to graduate all of the student, and we heard that the authority even allow the student to curang itu apa saya lupa how to cheating ya because the school have the target that all of the students have to graduate in those areas. So it is because they need a good performance, good name of the school. And we cannot tell that this part of education system, this is a practice of political of the institution. But that impact on the way we educate our children, and that's also a problem. And the fact that we saw also some school having particular policy, like not long time ago, there is a public school in Java or in Sumatra force the student to wear hijab, which is, and for the long dress for the non-Muslim, even though it's not the official official dress uniform for the school. And we cannot tell that this is a problem. So we can say this a deep evaluation on the way we establish our education, not only in terms of the intention, but also the practice, the political and cultural surrounded, the mentality about the institution itself. We need to evaluate as well. Yeah, I think that's only my response.
Okay, thank you very much. So to give a chance, okay, so you would like to ask, please.
No, I just remember that in China in 1989, there is the reformation of education from the more scientific and go to the practice education, just like that. So reformation in 1989, when the president is the Deng Xiaoping, there is a very, very big reformation on education like that. So the result is we can show now how the China is at the moment is in science and technology is more advanced than another country. I think like that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much. I think to give chance to the other questions, before that, I go to the Zoom first. I saw Bapak Syarif Hidayatullah. You would like to ask something? Please unmute the mic, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, special thanks to the moderator, Kak Arona, for the opportunity given to me to ask question. My name is Syarif Hidayatullah. I am a lecturer of education on Islamic religion and several related courses at the Faculty of Philosophy, Universitas Gadjah Mada. Okay, in my opinion, what the three speakers described is very important or also very interesting for us, but nevertheless, in line with my special interest, then I want to know more about the influence of religion on education, as Prof. Kinsu explained just now. If we discuss the influence of religion on education, according to me, there are two types of influence, positive and a negative thing. Among the negative influence of religion on education that often appear in fight or religion-based school, as in Indonesian context, we have an Islamic-based school, is the presence of religious radicalism in a number of Islamic educational institutions, maybe including in the involvement of female students, even like some student or one student asked you just now. My question to Prof. Kins may also be responded to by other two speakers, Prof. Lasio and my brother Rahmat Hidayat, PhD. How should we respond to this phenomena? Okay, thank you very much, Kak Rona.
Thank you, Pak Sarif. So the questions, it is about how you could explain more about this influence of religion in educations, because in the societies itself, for example, in our the Islamic schools in the country, there's some or several movements, especially the radicalist movement, came into this system. So would you have any comments for that?
Thank you very much for your question. Depends on for your question. Particularly, I think all of people are our society, all of people, including the whole world. These are the, I think, your religions and our religions are. This is one of the name. These are, I think, we all of if we are unity, we have no problem for no problem for the religion. But in younger age, we teachers should give them rules and regulations of their religion, because of when they younger age, they without know their religion, they have older than they have a very difficult to do their occasion or any others how to say, or they have a very difficult to do their life. But these are religions. These are religions for the education and religions are interrelation. I think for me, no problem. But most of the people consider the very strictly on the religion. So if you have not the if you cannot give the rules and regulations on these religion, maybe a problem for their older age. So I think if we want to know our respective religion, we should learn their respective religion. So this is some people for important thing.
Okay. Prof. Las or Mas Rahmat would like to add?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Such a heavy and complex situation, I guess, because religion is such a big issue to be put in our short discussion. Well, to say that it certainly have a deep impact, as I agree with Pak Sarif, positively as well as negatively. Positively, we know that the religious institution have long established education institution in our country long before the Indonesian state established before the colonization. If we have madrasah, have pesantren, we have years, centuries, establishment from that. And this, we call that very positive one to provide education. And many local initiative in the kampung, in the village, small villages, where government official cannot build schools. It is the religious institution, like from the Muhammadiyah, build a madrasah, things around the country, a lot of that. And that's very positive one. I mean, the initiative from the religion. And then again, I think the particular part of the religious discourse that involve political agenda that make it the story different, like we say about radicalization. But I said it's not purely religious one, because it's involved also contestation, political contestation, which adopt or engage in religious terms, which apply directly, and it is very relevant, important for in the society where religion is very important, like our political atmosphere today. Why religion always be part commodity of our political community? Because our society take religion too seriously, which is why if any political agenda use religion, then it becomes sound and relevant, and it does. Yeah, but again, that cannot be take away the positive impact, the positive contribution of religious institution to provide education for our people. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Mas Rahmat. So I see questions from this room. Please, Mas siapa yang di belakang?
Udah. Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for the chance. Thank you for moderator. My name is Arias Citra. I'm one of the student of this philosophy faculty.
Sure.
Okay, I'm interested to know about the rule of education in Myanmar. So as we know that every culture, every philosopher has their relative conceptual and also relative culture in apply of their daily life. So that you mentioned earlier that everyone has their philosophy and ideology. So it is easy to answer that what kind of philosophy and ideology that the student obtain in their daily life. But my question is more particular about the strategy of philosopher in Myanmar. What is the strategy of Myanmar educational philosopher to more specifically direct and manage the pluralistic culture, philosophy, and the ideology that student broke from the start when they enter the university or the school? And this is the first question. The second question could be answered by the three speakers. That about the situation of our educational today is about the young people today is easily broken hearted and very sensitive. Yes, that the reality. When we say something more hard voice, the intention, they very easily to making something in Indonesia. We call it galau and a little bit easy to broken-hearted. So where we know that this time the transition of morality and wisdom is easily disturbed in existence of social media and the internet, which involve in our daily life of the children and the student. So as a educator, how to make the teaching more interesting in the world where everything is instant, everything is accessible, and obtain everything in internet network. So how we can defeating the cheating of the student, because they sometimes they know more than the teacher, because they usually can open the internet, what the topic, what the theme. So how we can defeat the internet, because they sometimes they can make us interesting a thema topic with the YouTube and others than what we do daily in the class. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. That's the second questions. I think basically, really relates to what we are going to discuss these 2 days. So first questions, please, Prof. Kin.
Thank you very much for your question. I guess your question, the first question is role of the education in our country, right? Is right? Yeah, the role of education in our country is a very important thing, because of at the beginning we are doing the, you said, agriculture sector. We are doing the traditional farming method. Later, most of the students are going to the abroad, and any scholar go to the abroad with their joint project, with the collaboration project. Then after that, these scholar coming back from any other country, then they can do from the traditional method. From traditional method to mechanized farming methods, then because of the learning from the Israel or any other country, so they are agricultural. We call as agriculturalists. So they know more about that, about agriculture, how to grow, how to maintain the plants. So they know more. So that's why they can do their farming. They can do their farming, and we have our role of our education is a most important thing. Later, as you know, in our university, most of the student going to abroad to buy mobility system or student exchange system. So the government and head of government and our rectors give them the chance, and we are connection with collaborate with the many partner university, other foreign partner. So our role of education is higher level than previous time. So that is our country, the natures of our country, the current situations of our country. But at the moment, we are really silent by the pandemic situation. But we re-establish in all of our universities or each and other states and region. So we are trying to establish our role of our education again. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. The second question is about, if I may repeat the questions, it is about how to overcome the situations right now that young generations is, facing these social phenomena, like they are what we call in Bahasa Indonesia easy to feel galau, or to feel sad suddenly or moody sometimes, and how does this situations, or how does the role of the educations maybe could influence on these situations. Prof. Las?
Yes, that is, I think I agree with Mr. Rona that some young generation might be galau because, however, we have to choose the subject or the program study as well. It's not sure that after he finished or after graduation he can get the works from there. Yeah. So this, I think, in the new policy of the government in Indonesia, the Merdeka Belajar and Kampus Merdeka, mean the children are more closer with the real life. It's not, I think it's like I think it's like that. So we need new strategy on that. Yeah. From the kindergarten or from primary school, there is so many kind of school in Indonesia. There is the boarding school, there is the state school, then also some strategies may a little bit different between one another. I think this government should make a good strategy in achieving the young generation, when they can happy in life. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, I agree that we actually need a new strategy, new method of education, so that it can approach all these young generations with all of these problems. So I would like to ask the committee that maybe this is the time. I think the time is over already. Okay. So, sorry? Oh, sorry. So I think one last questions. Okay, one last questions from Mas Hidayat. Please unmute the mic, the committee, please. Could you please unmute the mic, guys, there?
Okay, can you hear my voice?
Yes, very clear.
All right. Thank you very much, Mbak Rona, for giving me the opportunity to ask the question. Yeah, let me introduce myself. My name is Ferry Hidayat, and I'm really glad to meet Pak Rahmat Hidayat and also Pak Sarif Hidayatullah. So we are the
other
tribe,
Hidayat. Okay.
Yeah, Hidayat tribe.
Very nice.
Okay. All right. Well, the three presenters are very interesting, and they presented the research very interestingly. And I would like to ask a question for each presenter. First of all, I would like to ask Pak Rahmat. Well, I believe you had already done many researches about gender and power, Pak. So my question is, which power do you think is the most dictating on gender, especially in Indonesian context? That is for Pak Rahmat, and then for Pak Prof. Lasio. Well, the Javanese metaphysics is for me very difficult to discern and also very difficult to construe and understand, because it is a very metaphysical. Well, do you think, Pak Lasio, do you think that Javanese generation of today feel interested, Pak, in knowing this Javanese metaphysics? Because I did a little research to my neighbors. My neighbors are Javanese. I live in Pekalongan, and when I say to Javanese young men, do you know the concept of manuanggaling kaulo Gusti? And then he said, I don't know. And then I also asked another Javanese, and she was a woman, and then she said, I asked the same question, and then she said, I don't know anything about it. So according to your researches, is there enthusiasm, a great enthusiasm of the Javanese people of today to study on Javanese metaphysics, which is very metaphysical? And then the last question to Prof. Hinkinshaw. I saw in your presentation slide that you use the Bloom's taxonomy, right? Especially the cognitive domain. Well, my question is the Bloom taxonomy in Myanmar educational system applied faithfully? Don't you think that the taxonomy is so Western, and why don't you adapt and make it suitable? Especially, don't the Myanmar people have another taxonomy, for example? It is not a cognitive, not too cognitive, not too what is it? Not too intellectual, but also touch another aspect of human being. I think that's all. Thank you very much for the answers.
Okay, so thank you very much for these interesting closing questions. So I was really intrigued by the second questions because of this room was mostly fulfilled by the young generations. Let us do a small research about the Javanese philosophy. That actually the second questions would be about, thus these young generations have so many interests, or do you have passions in learning specifically Javanese metaphysics? Guys, who would like to answer? I know you would like to answer. Please answer it just honestly, just in your opinion. Would you want to learn this Javanese concept or Javanese philosophy more?
Are we talking about Japanese or
Javanese?
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Well, I think some things that feels like it came from local or anything that like that. It's kind of interesting in some sense that this particular side. Oh, okay. So it's this the simple ways to put it is that I'm really interesting to start learning. Yes, I would pretty much because the reason that I already said that something local is one of my interests. Like something like that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So this doesn't represent another young generations. Okay, so yes. Sorry. Yes, you would like.
The front ini yang semua ini.
He is also young, so.
Ini yang depan ini yang semua ini. Yang berjenggot nih yang.
The moderator staring on me, but maybe she's thinking he's the elder, not I'm younger. So I think it's a common sense that the youngers of Javanese or in Nusantara should be know and notice their local genius of the metaphysics. But as we know, how we describe, how we teach about the metaphysics, the younger think that's too heavy, because we use the words and also the definition of the words is too heavy to them. So maybe we try to teach them about the metaphysics. It's not about the something beyond about the akhirat, about the other life, but metaphysics is about what happened with our life, like jagat alit, small earth, yeah, and also jagat gede, about the universe, and about the cosmology, relation ourselves to the others. It's not about the material, but about the concept, how we think about ourselves to the others. So when it related to our daily life, the metaphysics of Javanese will continually live and rise in our daily life. So I think it should be the younger people in Java or in Bali or in Nusantara should know about the metaphysics, but in the easily way and like definition, not about the thing that they think that philosophy is about the absurdity and abstract. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the young generations that represent to answer. So I'll go back to the answers from the speakers because we are just begin with the second questions about this Javanese philosophy. Thus, these young generations have so much interest on that. Prof. Lasio, maybe you have a comment.
Yes, I think, thank you very much, Mr. Hidayat. I also have the difficulty, to study metaphysics, particularly Japanese metaphysics. However, it is in sense difficult. But when we can study and do every day, I think this will be okay. Now, metaphysics itself is the meta and physics, behind the physics. In Japanese culture, you know about Manunggaling Kawula dan Gusti and Manunggaling Kawula Gusti. This is the unity between human being with the Creator, actually. So, how the human being have life and live life according to the rule of the God Almighty. How the human being life with the harmonize with the environment. This is more important than that. Yeah, I think like that is
okay. So thank you very much, Prof. Lasio. And for the third question first. After that, we go to the first question. The third question for Professor Kin. Do you have in Myanmar like a local taxonomy, rather using this Western Bloom taxonomy?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. Really, we are using the Bloom taxonomy, criteria for Bloom taxonomy. Or as you mentioned that it is right for the Western country or many using these criteria. But also in currently our university, not only our university, but also in our Myanmar, we are using Bloom taxonomy because they have a 6 steps: remembering, understanding, analyzing, evaluation, applying, and creation. So all of these criteria, our idea is not only students but also teachers. When teachers give to their students, for example, give to the question for their student, the teacher should know the level of their student, because first year and second year students do not know where their particular field, do not know because they are very beginner. That's why the teachers should know situation of their student. That's why they should use the remembering level and understanding level. If they want to do the question, they should ask their student or remembering steps and understanding. How do you understand? What is your what is the name? What do you mean the philosophy? What is the geography? So the student should know the meanings and facts and figure should know. So the teachers should prepare a very easy question to give their student. Later, the student becoming to third year or fourth year, teachers will change their question. Teacher will teach their students or teaching technology, teaching methodology, teaching style should change. All of these are depends on the criteria of Bloom taxonomy. So now we are using the Bloom taxonomy. So last two is creation and evaluation. These are for the our not all academic atmosphere but for the academic atmosphere. We should know how to evaluate because of for example, yesterday we already discussed with these madam. We should know how to evaluate to choose the dean. So how to evaluate? We should know the upper level thinking scale. So we are using the criteria or detail. We know well for criteria for Bloom taxonomy. So we are using these are method.
Okay,
technology.
Thank you very much, Professor Kin. So one last answer by Mas Rahmat.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
I hope that you can answer it really quick.
Yeah, really quick. Which power? Very quick, 3-1. Religious power, political power, and capitalist economic power. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, that's That's pretty quick from what I expected. So, ladies and gentlemen, and also the speakers here with me, I thank you very much for your participations, especially the participants who are very loyal, still being there in the Zoom room, watching us here. I hope that you enjoy these movies. So, thank you very much, and maybe the conclusions will be concluded by the end of the sessions tomorrow. And I'll see you again tomorrow virtually, because we still have 2 more sessions, the parallel sessions, and also the other keynote speakers will also talk tomorrow. So just stay tuned. I'll give the chance back to the MC. Thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Finally, we are at the last session of the event. Please everyone stay on your seat because we will have a next session. So the last but not least, the next session is the photo session followed by coffee break. So I would like to ask the speakers and the Dean of the Faculty of Philosophy, Universitas Gadjah Mada, and Mr. Agus Wahyudi to come forward first to take a picture together.
We take a picture. I also would like ask the participants from Zoom to turn your cam on so that we also can take a picture together here from this monitor, please. Dibikin ini ya, galeri ya, dibikin galeri ya, Zoom-nya, jadi bisa kelihatan semua. Di sini aja, please, Bu Dekan, Pak Lasio, Bu Septi, tadi mana ya, Pak Rizal? Would you please come here, Pak Imam? Bisa ke sini semuanya, mungkin all the participants. Oh, okay, so the speaker first, and after that, all the participants. Minta partisipannya di bawah. Di screenshot ya, guys. Oke. Okay, so please smile for the Zoom participants, please, because we also take your photos there. Thank you. Di atas boleh loh, di atas. Mungkin di atas bisa ya, yang cowok-cowok, teman-teman mahasiswa. Pak Awe, sini Pak Awe. Ngantuk. Oke. Iya. Mas Rahmat yang di screenshot ya. Yang di Zoom udah. Oke, sorry, once more with the Zoom participant. Belum selesai, satu lagi yang di Zoom belum masuk. Okay, once more. Please hang on the Zoom. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Jean-Christophe, for being there. See you tomorrow.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the committee of our conference today, we would like to say thank you for your active participation today and have a great rest of your day. See you in the second round of the conference. I am Lili Anggreni Kitin Saban as your host, signing off. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.